last week, Jonathan, our resident expert, took me through the entirety of the first three JoJo's Bizarre Adventures series, and not the 8 that we hoped we'd be able to, but there's a lot of them. This week, there is another topic, as you can see on the screen, that I never got into because I didn't want to, I guess. And our
That's fair.
resident Star Wars expert, Tim, is going to teach me all about the Star Wars sequels that I just could not give a fuck about. Okay, Tim, just, are they as bad as I hear they are?
They are approximately 90% as bad as you hear they are. They haven't earned everything that people say about
Okay.
them, but they have earned a lot of it.
So there's a little exaggeration, but also I can still feel vindicated that I did not go and see these movies.
The entire concept for episodes 7, 8, and 9 completely makes everything in 4, 5, and 6 pointless.
Like, here's the thing. There's something about, like, it took me a while to really realize why I think the idea of sequels is a bad idea, and it was basically just because 1 through 6 is the story of Anakin and Obi-Wan. And then 7, 8, and 9 are just like, and here are other characters. And those two that we talked about before aren't really here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Basically, the entire point of all 9 of those main series Star Wars movies is
To sell things.
the messes Anakin made and how they got cleaned up.
Yeah. And that was good. And then he finished cleaning it up, and they were like, what if there was one more mess he didn't know about? And you're just like, this didn't have to happen.
Yeah, basically, that's exactly what happened.
That's what little I know of these movies is like, just that essentially there was another mess in the form
Or
of
even
one
better,
edgy
what if
teen.
what if he gave his life to finish cleaning up that mess and restore balance to the Force and redeem his honor? And oh, by the way, he didn't actually fix anything. He died for nothing.
One of my least favorite tropes is, well, we needed to bring someone back that's interesting, so we undid all the work that someone did and made their death meaningless. But it wasn't meaningless when we wrote it.
I mentioned before the stream starts, single worst line in all of Star Wars. We'll get there. But in the meantime, let's talk about what happened between episodes 6 and 7.
Oh, okay. All right, hold on. Let me start a different layer then. I did not realize there was going to be some between. Episode 6.5. Birth by Sleep.
Yeah, so episode 6.5 is basically just all of the boring parts of episode 1. It's trade negotiations and political intrigue, and basically the Rebel Alliance wins, they blow up the second Death Star, they kill the Emperor, and that's it. The Empire is on the back foot. The Rebel Alliance just finishes sweeping them off into the corners of the galaxy. Eventually, instead of just destroying them utterly, they make them sign a treaty that turns them into the Imperial Remnant. And at that point, they're just ruling over little backwater planets that are administrated from Coruscant. For some reason, the rebellion gave that up and let them have it and moved off to make their own throne world.
I honestly am surprised Coruscant is still around.
No, Coruscant is definitely still around.
Yeah, it's just weird because like in the prequels, they were like it was such a big place, and then they just don't bring it up in the main line, like original 3.
No, they definitely do in those CGI cutscenes that George Lucas threw in the early 2000s.
You said they became the Imperial Remnants?
Yeah, the Imperial Remnant. Multiple remnants just called the Remnant. They're all ruled over by their own little warlords or whatever. And they're kept up into manageable chunks that aren't allowed to work together, basically by policing by the rebellion, or by the New Republic, I should say.
Okay, so Rebels become New Republic?
Yeah, the Rebels become the New Republic. So that goes on for a while. It's basically just the Republic is back, except there's more piracy and general unrest because they just finished a massive war. So, yeah, like I said, annoying piracy, trade tariffs, just the boring parts of episode 1. That's most of what happens between episode 6 and episode 7. Way, way off screen in a region of the galaxy called the Unknown Regions. Guess why? One Imperial remnant is formed by some dude named Snoke. You can hear my wife groaning off screen. Okay, so Snoke.
I like have heard his name, and yet I feel like I have even tried to look him up online to see what he looks like and could not find anything. Like, I think that was before the 6th movie came out.
He looks like CGI Andy Serkis with half his face crushed in.
Nice.
Because, that's exactly who he is. CGI Andy Serkis with half his face crushed in. So he gets a hold of his own Imperial remnant and remolds them into what becomes the First Order. The First Order eventually starts stealthily reaching out to the other remnants and gathering them into the fold and building its power slowly so that the New Republic doesn't notice. And while all this is happening, Snoke also makes the time to seduce Ben Skywalker over to the dark side and make him into Kylo Ren. That happens off screen.
I like how we haven't even talked about who that is.
Okay. Ben Skywalker, as you might imagine, is the son of Han Solo and Leia Organa, who was never actually called herself Skywalker, but Ben did for some reason. Yeah, that's it. He's their son. He's Force sensitive. He's a Skywalker. Snoke gets in his head, Force telepathy makes him evil.
I do appreciate this idea that Ben Skywalker, that like in this relationship between Han and Leia, Ben was just like, yeah, I'm taking my mom's name. She's so much cooler. she's the boss of this relationship, and Han's like, yes.
So during this time, Luke is actually training Ben Skywalker to be a Jedi, along with his first class of Jedi initiates, basically. Luke is still the only Jedi in the galaxy, but he's working on fixing that. So, I think a couple years before the events of Episode 7 happen, Snoke finally brings Ben all the way over. Luke does Ben a frighten, and it's the straw that broke the camel's back, so Ben flips out and kills everyone at the Jedi Temple. Including Luke, he thought. Anyway, Luke survives. He runs off to some uncharted planet, also in the unknown regions that no one knows how to find except him. And the Jedi disappear. Ben Skywalker is now Kylo Ren, the master of the Knights of Ren, most of whom are also former Jedi initiates who decided they want to become bad because why not?
Oh, I didn't realize there were other Jedi initiates as part of this.
Yeah. No one knows who they are. They literally exist to be killed by Kylo Ren. That is their purpose in this narrative.
I would like you to know, by the way, that I wrote down Ben was trained by Luke with other younglings, and then in parentheses, oh no. And then, like, immediately afterwards, you're just like, and then he kills everyone at the temple, and I'm just like, I thought it was a joke foreshadowing, but apparently.
So forms the Knights of Ren exist, and eventually Kylo Ren is given command of them because he proves himself the most worthy to Snoke. And at about this point, the events of Episode 7 start happening.
Okay. So, just to be clear, his name is Ben, and he decided to create the Knights of Ren, and was like, no one will guess this.
Snoke created the Knights of Ren. the leader of them previously, before Kylo killed him and took his place, was named Ren.
And Kylo just decided to also have the same last name? Wait, so they're called the Knights of Ren, but they're not named after Kylo Ren?
Correct. Kylo Ren is actually named after them.
It's dumb.
I mean, every Sith Lord in existence, their first name is Darth.
Yeah, but that's
it's
a
more
title.
a title. It's more of a title than anything else.
But your title isn't your last name. Your title is you should be called Ren Kylo, not it's not Vader Darth. They don't call them Yoda Master and Mace Windu Master.
So yeah, start-ish of episode 7.
Let me get a good picture of our dumb boy.
Ah, yes, the dumb boy. I don't know how much you paid attention to Star Wars and social media, even if you didn't actually watch them. So many people got a crush on him.
I don't know why, because I have seen him.
Hold on a second. I think my cat is stuck on something.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. She was just throwing a temper tantrum at the fact that there exists a closed door in this house.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, so
I just am upset that they decided that this movie, like the plot of this movie or these series is basically driven by an edgy team named Kyle. Like that is essentially I understand, like, yeah, in some ways the plot of all of them were driven by the edgy teen Anakin, but like I don't think he was really a teen in the third movie. I don't know. They're not great at telling you how much time has passed, but I felt like he was more young adult than like teenager.
Oh yeah, he was in his, I want to say, early 20s.
Yeah. See, that felt better because it felt like an informed, like someone making informed decisions. Bad ones, obviously, but at least informed ones based on what was happening and not like edgy teen.
Yeah, they really screwed up the casting in episode 1 by underaging Anakin way too much and just making the thing with him and Padme way too creepy.
Yeah, that was the weird part. I very much did not like that. I liked the idea of him being a kid. I did not like the idea of him being like 8 and Padme being like 16.
Yeah, no, he was like 13, 14. Padme was still 16, but that's, better than 8.
Yeah. Alright, so Force Awakens.
One thing I do want to say before we get too much further into this, I'm still mad that they basically made the plot for the entire sequel trilogy by taking the best part of the Legends books and just tossing them in the blender.
And also a little bit of New Hope, from what I've heard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they basically just recycled the plot of New Hope for Force Awakens.
I haven't seen Force Awakens, but I have seen A New Hope, so we can just skip this movie.
Yeah. Well, we can't entirely skip the movie. There are a few important things that happen for the other movies. In the Legends books, there are two distinct characters. You have Jason Solo, guess whose son he is, who is, a major Force-sensitive guy, who eventually ends up making the exact same mistakes as Anakin did in falling to the dark side, only instead of doing it in, 30 minutes in a movie, they gave him an entire 9-book series, which, on the one hand, is very depressing to read, but on the other hand, I think is exactly how it should have been shown if somehow they'd been able to.
Yeah, because that way you can understand it happening.
Yeah, you understand it. It shows the slow fall and the minor steps that he takes just to go from being, the pinnacle of the Jedi to a Sith Lord. It doesn't happen overnight. And then the second character is also named Ben Skywalker.
Oh.
I just realized. I've been calling it Kylo Ren, Ben Skywalker the whole time. He is Ben Solo. Ben Skywalker is from the Legends series and is a much better character. He is Luke's son, and he becomes Jason Solo's apprentice as a Sith, and eventually manages to redeem himself before Jason gets killed off.
Oh, cool. See you, Jason. You sucked.
The thing about Jason Solo is he was a very established, well-loved character in the Legends novels for probably like 25 years. I don't mean in universe. I mean as actual books you could read, starting in the early to mid-90s and then going forward to the mid-2000s.
I think I actually had a book with that character in it, but I do not know any more information past that.
Yeah, so like 20 actual years people had to fall in love with this guy before he started his descent to the dark side. That's what made it so tragic.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough with the stuff that didn't happen. On to the other piece of fiction that also didn't happen.
Yeah, that also didn't happen, but in a worse way somehow.
Okay, so Force Awakens starts. Ben Solo, who is now Kylo Ren, just lands on some random desert planet in the middle of nowhere called Jakku, because there's an old rebellion/resistance guy there. I forgot to talk about the resistance. Who has a map to Luke Skywalker, because, he just randomly does.
Wait, so it starts off with there's a dude who has a map to Luke Skywalker who's supposed to be dead?
Well, he knew he didn't kill Luke Skywalker. He thought at the time that he had, but of course he didn't find the body, so of course Luke isn't dead.
Yeah, I thought Luke being alive was going to be a reveal, not the first thing. I didn't think it was going to start with you finding out that he was supposed to have died but didn't.
No, it literally starts like the first 45 seconds of the movie starts with, "This is a map to Luke Skywalker. Guard it carefully."
Amazing.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, the first place that Kylo Ren goes to look for it is sand. Because there's something about Skywalkers and sand. And for some reason, he's right.
I mean, in fairness, Luke didn't hate sand, as far as I know. He never mentioned it.
He didn't hate sand specifically. He did hate Tatooine.
Yeah. Well, he hated working on the farm instead of getting power converters.
Yeah, that is a thing. So, anyway, Resistance guy has the map. Just before Kylo Ren comes around to take it off his hands, the old guy gives it to a pilot in the Resistance named Poe Dameron. Sorry, I need to take care of this. The kitty is trying to crawl her way into the paper shredder.
Okay.
Okay, the cat is resisting efforts to be moved, but I've at least turned off the paper shredder.
Oh, baby.
I don't think there's much damage she can get into back there.
Except for mischief.
Yeah, she always does that. Anyway, apparently my cat is a regular guest star on this show now.
That's just how it be.
Yeah, that is how the cat do.
Alright, so he gives the map to Poe.
Yeah, gives the map to Poe. Poe attempts to fly off with it. Doesn't work, so Poe gives it to his beach ball. He has a little droid named BB-8, basically a stand-in for R2, who is turned off for the entirety of this movie for reasons that no one ever really explains. It actually shows him on screen at one point. We'll get to that. Anyway, so he has a little droid called BB-8, little orange thing with a head on top. It looks like a volleyball more than anything else. It just rolls around. You've probably seen it.
Yep.
Yeah, so he gives this thing the map to BB-8, tells BB-8 to run away, and then gets himself captured by the First Order. BB-8 runs away, like a quarter of the way across the planet, gets himself captured by some guy who wants to, sell him for scrap, and then gets rescued one more time by some random scavenger girl named Ray.
Huh. That's an interesting idea for a plot, having a robot get captured by junkers and then rescued by a scavenger.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've heard of that before.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she's not a farmer this time. She's a scavenger. It's completely different. She strips abandoned Imperial equipment and sells it for a living. Why is she living there? Because her parents left her there, and she's just been waiting for them to come back. For 18 years. Still waiting. Yeah, basically. Yeah, he's basically captured by not technically a Jawa.
I just, you didn't actually say, but I was like, I'm not going to ask. I'm just going to put a Jawa because that's what I need.
Yeah, you could have replaced it with a Jawa and absolutely nothing would have changed. So yeah, Ray rescues the droid, takes it back to civilization, gets it cleaned up. Yeah, where have you heard that plot before? And, then stumbles across this thing inside the droid that leads her to the rest of the rebellion. I mean, the resistance. I'm skipping ahead in the plot a little bit, but that's actually what happens. So, going back to Poe Dameron for a second, Kylo Ren interrogates him, gets nothing out of him, or nothing useful out of him, except that the map is in the droid. So now they have to find a droid on an entire planet. He escapes with the help of a random stormtrooper named Finn, who grew a conscience on his first mission out and decided to defect from the Empire. Or from the First Order, I should say. Unlike the Empire, where their stormtroopers were actually, recruited and trained, the First Order took a page from the old Jedi Order and abducted babies in order to make them into soldiers.
So they just did the Halo thing.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, FN2187, that was literally his name. He didn't know anything else from birth. Rescued Poe Dameron. They stole a TIE fighter. They flew off. During the course of the escape, Poe decided he didn't want to call him FN2187 every time he wanted his attention, so he just called him Finn.
Because it looks like Finn, which is definitely the direction that it would have happened, and not that FN whatever is backward engineered from the name Finn.
Yeah, that is entirely coincidental.
Yeah.
So yeah, they steal a TIE fighter. They're shot down. Back on Jakku. In the process of getting shot down.
Lots of getting shot, trying to escape and not working in the first 5 minutes of this film.
Yeah, basically the entire plot of this movie is half the characters want to get away from Jakku, but Rey just keeps wanting to go back or stay there. So yeah, so they get shot down. They're separated. You don't see Poe again for most of the movie. Finn wanders into the outpost about the same time that Rey and the droid do. The droid basically attacks Finn because Finn is wearing Poe's jacket, and the droid accuses him of stealing it. Anyway, more meet cute happens. Then the then the First Order comes and tries to blow everyone up.
Said Finn
like you do.
Rey.
So yeah, so they try to escape. They run out to the shipyard, or the junkyard where they store ships. The boneyard, that's the thing. They run out to the boneyard. They try to get in the first ship they see. It gets blown up. So they try to get into the second ship they see. That works. It just so happens to be the Millennium Falcon.
I hope you understood how deep that sigh was.
Yes, I did. It just so happens to be the Millennium Falcon. Not that either of them knows what that actually is. Want me to give you a second to finish drawing stuff?
Yeah.
What's up, Draco? We're talking Star Wars.
For some reason.
Star Wars. So yeah, leave some room on the Millennium Falcon to draw extra stuff, because of course, as soon as they leave the planet, the Millennium Falcon shuts down and is, taken over by some other ship, which just happens to have its access codes.
Oh, I just drew him with the Millennium Falcon with sunglasses on because he's cool.
Ah, yeah.
So I hope that's what they did.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, as soon as they leave Jakku, Millennium Falcon gets shut down by someone else. They're boarded, and some old dude and a Wookiee come on board. Like, the second they leave Jakku.
I mean...
Han Solo finds them and says, "Oh, hey, I've been looking for this thing forever. Where's it been?"
Like, why is his ship not with him, and also, how was he 6 inches away from it and didn't notice?
The way he lost track of the Millennium Falcon is someone stole it from him. That's as much information as we get. Someone stole it from him, someone else stole it from that guy, someone else stole it from that guy, and then stuck it on the boneyard because they didn't care about it anymore.
But Tim, it's the ship that made the Kessel Run and whatever.
So Han Solo finds the ship. He asks himself, we've been looking for this thing forever. Where did you find it? Oh, it was in this boneyard on Jakku. Han looks at Chewie and says, "I told you we should have checked the outer reaches." Chewie just shrugs and walks off.
Is that
and that's as sucks? And that's just as much discussion as that ever gets.
Is that the line that you were saying is the worst line?
No, the worst line is so much worse than that.
Really? Because that was pretty bad.
It is so much worse. You'll know it when you hear it. Yeah, that's basically...
I don't know how to draw Han Solo, so I drew Indiana Jones.
Yeah, that basically works. And that is exactly what happens. Hey, we found our ship. Han immediately takes a shine to Rey. What was that?
I hate this plot so much already.
Han immediately takes a shine to Rey and decides he wants her to be his new second mate because he's been doing so well with, space smuggling stuff before that he got his own ship stolen from him. Trying to remember why they go to this place. I honestly don't remember. They head to some backwater watering hole in the middle of nowhere, run by some old lady named, I think her name's Maz Kanata.
Is she the bounty hunter?
No, she's just a barkeep. Think Yoda, only instead of being little green and shriveled, she's little yellow and shriveled, and also about 1,000 years old. Like, without exaggeration, 1,000 years old. She might as well be a stand-in for Yoda. And also, Chewie's apparently her boyfriend.
What?
I'm not making that up. So yeah, so she runs this little watering hole tavern, whatever you want to call it. She just happens to have some box lying around that has Luke's old lightsaber in it.
Tim, this is like if you made a series where every character was the MacGuffin.
Now you see why people
hate it because it's bad.
Yeah. Yeah, this entire movie basically is just one MacGuffin after another. It's like a Matryoshka doll of MacGuffins. Yeah, that's basically how it goes. Oh, also, here's Luke's lightsaber. And Han asks, of course, recognizes it and asks where she got that. And she says, that is a great question for another time. So that's never explained either.
JoJo's was like just wild and crazy, and it was a fun ride. This is just paining me at every step. I've never felt so much like physical like distress about hearing a story. Like, it was like they were given so much ability to make an interesting story, and they were like, no one wants to see the backstory or reasons why things happened. They just want to see things happen. And you're just like, that's not really a story. That's just kind of things happening.
So yeah, as soon as they find Luke's lightsaber, Kylo Ren shows up and just starts laying waste to the planet because he wants the droid and the map. Eventually, he runs into Rey, decides he doesn't need the droid anymore because she's seen the map and he can just pull it out of her head.
That's not okay.
So he just kidnaps her. Right before he finishes kidnapping her, the Resistance shows up, and there's a battle. Yeah. The Resistance beats up the First Order. The First Order runs away. The Resistance, lands some ships to help put everything back together. And, oh, by the way, Leia's here now. At least that one kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so everyone's introduced to everyone else. The Resistance decides they're going to get Rey back from the First Order. And they discover that she's been taken to Starkiller Base. Now, how much deep Star Wars lore do you know?
I know that it's weird that Han Solo could use a lightsaber because you technically need to be force sensitive to turn them on. I know that Leia is also force sensitive, and technically she could have done things if Luke failed. I know that lightsaber crystals come from one specific planet and one only, and you have to meditate there for like 3 days or some shit.
Well, not only one planet in the entire galaxy, but there's one where most of them come from. And they built Starkiller Base on top of it.
Wait, was I correct in some way? In my,
yes.
I hate this! Like, I was just like, I'll just list the dumb things that I happen to know that aren't useful, and you're like, yep, that one was useful.
So yeah, that planet you were thinking of is called Ilum. The kyber crystals that you need to make a lightsaber are mostly found in the ice caves they have there. And apparently those kyber crystals are also just generally good at focusing energy, so they built a giant super weapon out of the planet. Yeah, I was mad too when I found out what planet they actually used for it. That's never actually discussed anywhere in the movie. You have to find out, reading like 3 or 4 other things, to find out that it was Ilum.
Wait for... Oh, God damn it.
So yeah, so she ends up on Starkiller Base. Kylo Ren attempts to pull the map out of her head.
How?
She says, with the Force.
That's not... like, just Force mind reading?
That's not how the Force works. That's another line in this movie.
Yeah, it's a line in my heart every time I already disliked how the Force was used in occasional, like, Star Wars videos from, like, games and stuff, because I'm like, oh, I don't really like, oh, it's, like, this minor thing, but, like, it's fine. And then, like, in these movies, they're just like, we're gonna use the Force to... whatever. Just to do whatever. So
he decides he's going to use the Force to pull the map out of her head, and she's just like, no. And then Kylo Ren is like, oh, crap, she's Force sensitive. And that's as far as that plot line goes, because after discovering that she's force sensitive, he leaves her alone in a room with a single stormtrooper, who she then mind tricks into letting her go. Having never seen a mind trick before. I think it's the only time it's used in the entire franchise. Or in the entire trilogy.
Like, that's especially wild because of how much the mind trick was used in the prequels and even the, like, regular series. Like, I feel like mind trick is one of the most commonly used force abilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they were just like, we're gonna use it once as a throwaway thing.
Mm-hmm. With her first time ever consciously using the Force.
Is it supposed to be that, like, he awakened it in her when he, like, forced her to protect herself against him, essentially?
Basically. So he leaves her alone. He goes back to complain to Daddy Snoke and says, I tried to get the map, but she's force sensitive. How was I supposed to know that?
And does
he
say,
Snoke
don't ever call me Daddy Snoke again?
You just left her alone with a single stormtrooper, didn't you? Yeah, is there a problem with that? Yeah, I feel bad for Adam Driver. Because Kylo Ren is an idiot.
Yeah.
So anyway, so she escapes. In the course of all of that, Finn and Han and Chewie decide to come and rescue her in the Millennium Falcon. They manage to sneak in because BS physics. And in the course of getting there, Finn had previously sold himself to the Resistance as someone who knew everything about this base. He used to work there. You know, of course, they knew he used to be a stormtrooper. And, you know, he would be able to do everything if they just got him inside. And then they get there, and Han asks him where he's supposed to go, and he's like, I don't know, I just mopped the floors. And Han's like, you didn't think this was important to mention before? And Finn goes, no, it's okay, we'll figure it out as we go along. We'll use the Force. And Han just kind of stares at him for a second and says, that's not how the Force works.
Wild that he's even saying that when, like, the entirety of, like, the first trilogy is Han being like, I don't even believe in the Force. Force is bullshit. They're like, you know, Jedi existed, like, 18 years ago. Like, you were alive then. He's like, that ancient religion that nobody has ever seen. That is my favorite retcon in Star Wars, is that everyone's just like, the Force, that ancient religion? No one's even seen Jedi in millions of years. And people are like, it was like, you were alive then. Like some of the generals in the, like, Imperial Army act like the Force is, like, from thousands of years ago, and they're, like, 80. Like, they have clearly seen people who, like, they were clearly alive when the Force was, like, huge.
So yeah, so let's see, where were we? Rey's escaped herself. Finn and Han and Chewie are on the planet. Shenanigans happen. They meet up. They need to blow up this big MacGuffin on the planet, so the planet will blow up before it blows up something else. Oh, I forgot to mention, the planet already blew something up. It's called Starkiller Base because it destroys entire star systems instead of, you know, just one planet at a time like a noob.
Just, like, they really didn't need to, like, be like, oh, it's the Death Star, but bigger. Like, like, the Death Star is already scary. You can just destroy a planet. Like, I think one thing that the prequels at least did correct is that they didn't try to one-up the power levels of the bad guys. Like, there was no, like, we're gonna destroy a star galaxy or whatever. It was, like, exactly the same type of, like, we are evil for these reasons and nothing bigger.
So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of BS physics in what I'm about to say. Okay. I am not going to attempt to explain any of it, because the canon explanations just make it stupider. So the First Order announces itself to the galaxy by firing Starkiller Base, which fires 6 lasers through time and space, which are visible to everyone in the galaxy, and about 60 seconds after firing through time and space, blow up an entire star system across the galaxy. That star system being Hosnian Prime, where the New Republic moved their seat of government to after they decided they didn't want Coruscant anymore. So yeah, the First Order's first order of business in their, publicized existence is, lol, the Republic doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, everyone in the galaxy could see it firing and could see those planets blowing up in real time over the course of about a minute.
Everyone could see it?
Everyone.
Even if they were asleep?
You know what? Probably.
Did they have to look at the sky to see it, or was it, psychically sent to their mind?
It was visible in the sky. Being psychically sent to their mind would have only broken physics a tiny bit more.
So it didn't matter if those, if the planets they were blowing up were close by, it's just everyone could see it anyways?
Yeah, everyone could see it anyways. Everyone could see the laser beam, everyone could see the planets blowing up, even if those planets were in no way visible from that location any other time.
I think this was actually some Force sensitive trying to send that vision to everybody. That's the only way this could make any sense.
No, like I said, I'm not going to attempt to explain why it worked that way, because the response is even stupider than just saying stupid writing. Their attempts to explain it makes it even worse. Unless you want me to get into the vagaries of phantom energy and sub-hyperspace.
I was until you said the words phantom energy and sub-hyperspace. And then I was not excited about that at all.
It's powered by quintessence.
Okay, so what happens next in the plot?
Okay, so the thing's blown up. Fast forward a few more minutes. People are... now that the things have been blown up, the way this thing recharges is it eats stars.
But it just blew up the stars.
No, it blew up the planets around the star. The star is fine.
But you said it blew up the star system.
The system is most everything in the thing.
So
it didn't blow up the actual star, just the planets.
If they shot it at the Milky Way, it would destroy every planet, but not the sun.
It would have to have a separate beam for every planet in the Milky Way.
So it's not...
When you say Milky Way, do you mean the galaxy, or do you mean our solar system?
I'm sorry, our solar system. So, hold on. So, it shoots one beam per planet?
It shoots one beam per planet.
Okay, so it's not any better than the Death Star, it's just that they have 6 Death Star lasers.
Except the Death Star had to be in the system in order to blow something up,
okay.
and it couldn't shoot around a planet.
But when you say it blows up a star system, it doesn't. It blows up one planet per laser in a star system, and they just use them all at once to blow up every planet in the star system.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Okay, what happens next, Tim?
Okay, so now that that's been blown up, and they're recharging it by eating the star in the system the Starkiller Base is in, the Resistance is trying to, get it blown up. So, of course, there's a separate MacGuffin that they have to get blown up. They start trying. It takes about half an hour for them to get it to work. In the meantime, Kylo Ren shows up again. Yeah, he does that. And Han Solo just thinks to himself, I should try to save him.
So Han knows who he is?
Yeah.
So Han knows who he is, but not the audience?
No, the audience has known since, the first half hour of the movie that
really?
he was Ben Solo. And even then, it was teased pretty heavily. So it's never been a secret that Kylo Ren is Ben Solo.
Seems like a thing that you could have kept as a secret and made an interesting plot twist.
kind of. I think the reason they did it that way is because they're trying to emphasize that Kylo Ren is very insecure about himself, so by calling himself publicly a different name, he's trying to divorce himself. Like, he is trying very hard to be evil, and most of the time he succeeds, but also he is constantly, quote-unquote, tempted to the light. And he has to actively try to not be good.
Tim, I hate you because you said, when you hear the line, you'll know. I have known 4 times so far, and been incorrect every time. Because tempted towards the light also sounds like the dumbest line.
So yeah, looks like we're actually running out of time for this particular episode, so I'll have to speedrun the rest of this. Han walks up to him and, tries to get him to come back home and be a good boy. Kylo Ren, to his credit-ish, looks really conflicted and says, I don't know if I have the strength to do what is necessary. And Han says, of course I'll help you. And then his son says, okay, and stabs him in the chest with a lightsaber. So Han's dead.
Yeah. That's a thing I did know about this movie.
So yeah, so Kylo Ren kills Han Solo. Most of the rest of the movie is explosions. The rest of the resistance that's on the planet attempts to escape. Kylo Ren chases them down. He gets in a lightsaber fight with Finn. Finn gets almost cut in half. Rey force calls the lightsaber to her hand, the same way Luke pulled it out of a snowbank in the beginning of 5. Yeah. She does the exact same thing, shot for shot. And, they get in a fight. She beats him, having never held a lightsaber in her life before, him being trained by Luke Skywalker.
Maybe Luke's bad.
It's possible, but anyway. So yeah, she wins. They escape. He escapes. The planet blows up. Basically, that's the end of the movie. Or no, that's not exactly the end of the movie. The movie actually ends when she takes that map to Luke Skywalker and holds it up and finds, oh, wait a second, this is only a piece of the map. Crap, where's the rest of it? And at that point, R2-D2 wakes up and says, hey, I've got the rest of it. And so he holds up his piece of the map, and she holds up her piece of the map, and she can see where Luke is. So the movie ends with her traveling to him, and her holding out his old lightsaber to him. Roll credits. So yeah, not exaggerating in the slightest, R2 has just been asleep in low power mode since Luke left. No one knows why. No one's been able to wake him up. He's just been kind of sitting there in the Resistance base for 15, 20 years.
And then he just inexplicably wakes up when, after Han Solo dies.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is the least bad of the 3 movies.
Oh no. Oh. Hold on. I need to send a message to John that I'm quitting. Okay.
I like how she's holding a steak knife.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I can't tell if that says Last Jedi or Lost Jedi, but either one works.